Okay, so here we are with our first game of the new Battletech game of Armoured Combat. Andy's very kindly agreed to let me play. So the first stage in playing the game is picking what mechs you're going to play with. You can play with multiple mechs. Obviously for this introductory game we're just going to be playing with one each. So I have chosen to play with the Locust, and Andy has chosen to play with the Commando. These are two light mechs, so these are very much beginner mechs. Not very much to them, there's not too much complicated to worry about with them. So the Locust, if we'll show you the little text sheet here, the record sheet. As you can see, the Locust is quite fast. It's got a very high rate of walking and running movement, but you can probably see that it hasn't got very much in the way of weapons, and it's not very massively armoured. In Battletech, your mechs tend to have a trade-off. You can have speed, you can have armour, you can have firepower. In practice, pick two. You can have balanced mechs which have a little bit of everything, but what you'll find is that it's a good idea to have just two. Andy, in contrast, has taken the Commando. Again, you will probably see that it's moderately fast, not as fast as the Locust. But it certainly has more in the way of weaponry. Those weapons, although we've only got 3 weapons each, Andy's weapons are more powerful than mine. And we've got roughly about the same amount of armour. So, whereas I have speed, Andy has firepower, and we've got about the same in the other things. So, the first thing you do on the turn is you roll to see who has the initiative. For this you will require the 2 dice. Other things you will require, which are not in the box, is definitely a pencil and an eraser. These are not included in the box, but you should be able to pick them up fairly easily. So the first thing we do is roll for initiative. So you roll 2 dice each. Andy has rolled a 5. I have rolled a 7. So I have the initiative. The initiative advantage is for the person who goes second, usually. So this means that Andy is required to move first. The first thing he has to do is choose which one of his movement modes he would like to move. Movement modes in Battletech, there are 3. You can walk, you can run, and some mechs have the ability to jump. Walking is slower than running. Jumping is usually about the same as walking, but it means you can ignore terrain and you can maneuver quite flexibly.
I'm going to run.
Very good. So what is your running MP value? It should be up there on the sheet.
My running is 9.
9, okay. So that means that you have 9 points of movement to use. A point of movement will allow you to move into the next hex in front of you if it's the same level and there's nothing weird. So that is 1. A point of movement will also allow you to turn your mech by 1 hex facing. So that's 2, 3 so far. Then we go, let's say you wanted to move up onto this.
I don't really
level.
want to turn, I was just doing it to help you.
Fair enough, okay, alright.
So 1.
No, 1 is the first. If we're moving on 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a turn.
9.
It costs you a 9 point. So you have run. It's also important to note how many hexes you have moved through in your turn.
7.
7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Include the one that you moved.
You include the one you moved
Include the one
into.
that you moved, yeah. So don't include the one that you started on, but you started off the table. So you then include the one that you moved to. Every hex that you move through counts. Because it makes a difference when it comes to people shooting at you. People moving fast are harder targets. It can make a difference. So I won the initiative. I will also choose to run. And I will choose to move up to 12 points of movement. So I move 1, 2, 3. I choose to turn 4, 5, 6. Now I'm about to go up a level. Going up 1 level costs an additional movement point to go up, to go into that hex. So that was me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Going down a level, likewise, costs you an extra movement point. 9, 10, 11 to turn, and 12. to move towards you there. So now we've both made our full moves. That's a movement phase over. If there were multiple mechs, you alternate so that one person goes, then the other person goes, then the other person goes, then the other person goes. And there's a mechanic for allowing for an unequal number of mechs. If one person has 3 mechs and the other person only has 2, then there's a handy table in the book on page something. I believe it's on page 7 that tells you how many mechs you need to move. Excuse me. So the next phase that we go into is the combat phase. This is shooting. So to shoot, the side the initiative must declare first. So we do fire declaration. So you would declare whom you're shooting at and with what. And you can split fire. It's perfectly possible to do that. In this case, obviously, you're not going to need to. So you choose your weapons, have a look at the weapons you've got, have a look at the ranges that they are able to shoot at, and you choose what you want to shoot. And be aware, and this is very important, that's one of the key mechanics in Battletech, is be aware of how much heat firing those weapons is going to generate.
Well, I have SRM6, SRM4, and medium laser.
Okay.
So
an SRM is a short-range missile. There's 2 main missile types in Battletech: short-range missile (SRM) and long-range missile (LRM). You can use different ammunition types when you get kind of in advance with it, but for the start of the game, it's a missile which has a short range or a long range.
Their locations are central torso (CT) for the SRM6, RA right arm for SRM4, and left arm LA for medium laser. This
is important when it comes to both your shooting, as where it is in the mech will determine where you can shoot with it, but it's also very important when it comes to being shot at, as being damaged in those locations can result in the loss of those weapons.
In terms of ranges, they all have the same range. I have none at minimum range.
That's good. A minimum range means that there is a minimum range at which your weapon is effective. You can shoot at shorter ranges than that, but there's a penalty to do so.
So then they are all short 3, medium 6, and long 9.
That's nice and convenient for you. It means that all of your shooting numbers when you come to shoot will be the same. Short range is the easiest range at which to hit things. Medium range, it's slightly more difficult. Long range, it's slightly more difficult again. One of the things that you will probably want to do, because of the way that your mech is facing, I believe your mech is facing in that direction, is you will probably want to torso twist. A torso twist, most mechs are able to turn their facing for the purposes of shooting 1 hex face away from where they currently are. So doing a torso twist for you to your right means that you'll be bringing me into your front arc and probably be able to bring everything to bear, whereas perhaps if you had not done so, your left arm might not be an arc. Now it's important to remember that your mech hasn't actually changed facing, but it's just the torso that's done it. So whilst you can do that as a reminder for yourself, as long as you remember, there's no real problem, but you must remember at the end that you're not actually facing that way. And when it comes to me shooting you, it can make a difference.
If people are new to the game, would it be advantageous to maybe mark facing with a token or small dice?
In fact, one of the things that we tend to do when we play bigger games is we mark not only facing but also the movement. So we both chose to run, and it's worth noting how far we ran. So what you can do is you can put a little dice in front of yourself that says that is your facing. We tend to use a convention as well using coloured dice, where if you use a white dice, that indicates that your mech has walked. If you use a red dice, it indicates that it has run, so white for walk, red for run, and a different coloured dice to indicate that the mech has jumped. It's helpful to know. We can also use these dice to mark the shooting modifiers as well. So we'll take those off just for now. We'll come back to that when it comes to the actual shooting phase. So it's important to remember that although your mech is facing in that direction, it has torso twisted, so it's able to bring its arms and its center and its torso weapons to bear more directly in this direction. So I presume that you're going to choose to fire everything?
I think I'd be crazy not
You'd be
to.
crazy not to. Okay, how much heat will that generate for you?
That will
Just so you know.
generate for me 10 heat.
10 heat, okay, and it's important to note as well that your choice of movement mode also will generate heat. Because you chose to run, that will generate 2 heat for your mech as well. Now, we don't actually do heat phase yet, but it's important to remember that when you're choosing. Heat management is actually one of the key factors in Battletech. It's one of the things that separates it from a lot of other games. There's a management mechanic in the game which you have to pay attention to. The heat scale it's there to push it. Players shouldn't be afraid of the heat scale. It's there to be used, but it's there to be used judiciously. Right. So you're going to fire everything at me.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm having a look at my weapons here, and it seems that I have one medium laser, which has the same range as you. So a short at 3, medium at 6, and long at 9. I also have 2 machine guns, but as you can see from the sheet, the maximum range of my machine guns is 3 hexes. You are 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away, so I will not be able to shoot you with my machine guns. You're out of range. Okay. All right. So, having done fire declaration, I will be shooting 1 medium laser at you. You will be shooting everything at me. We now move on to the actual weapon attack phase. So, again, page 6 in the rulebook, if anybody needs it, just for the summary of play. We now make all of our declared attacks. So, you act first, making all of your shots. So, now we need to work out how difficult it's going to be for you to do this. So, on your sheet, there is there's a space for warrior data, which has a name. Give your pilots a name. It's kind of important to call them Bob or Fred, or if you want to, you can
Bill.
Bill. He will have a gunnery skill and a piloting skill. That is the base number, which you will use to take tests on those 2 things. So for moving about and doing clever things with your mech, piloting skill is important. For shooting things, gunnery skill is important. So for ease of it, we're going to say that you have a piloting skill of 4, and I have a piloting skill of 4, and you have a gunnery skill of 4, and I have a gunnery skill of 4. So the base number that you would require to hit, if there is no other modifiers, would be 4. However, we have to add modifiers to that. First of all, you ran. Running makes it harder to target, so you will have to add 2 to that. Okay. The range is
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. So you're out of short range. You're at medium range. So that will be another 2. There is a set of trees. There's a little bit of cover in the way, which will add another 1. And then we need to know how far did I move, because my moving fast makes it difficult to do. And again, if you see, I'll put it into the screen here. We can see that I moved 8 hexes, I believe.
Yep.
Which adds 3 more difficulty to them. Now I'm just going to check that I didn't cheat here. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexes.
That puts me at 12.
12, okay. Now 12 is the maximum possible, but 12 is possible on 2 dice. So firing your... you can fire the weapons in any order you like.
SRM 6.
SRM 6, requiring 12. Gets an 11, not a hit, unfortunately. Okay.
SRM 4.
Gets a 7, fortunately not a hit.
And medium laser.
Medium laser. A 9, not a hit. Now, medium laser fires off, no problem. For your missile weapons and for autocannon weapons and machine gun weapons, all things which have an actual ballistic projectile, there is ammunition. And if you look on your little critical hit table, it's also a little map of your mech. So there will be a number of little charts. One says left arm, left torso, center torso, head, right arm, all that kind of thing. And you will find that on at least one of those there is ammunition. So the SRM 6, which you fire first, its ammunition is in the left torso. So you need to strike one of those off. The SRM 4 is in, if the ammunition for it is in the right torso, so you need to strike one of those off as well. So those are fired. Ammunition bins can be hit, and if they are hit and there's ammunition in them, that ammunition tends to detonate, which is very bad for your mech. It's very important to track your ammunition, not simply because you will run out if you use lots and lots and lots, but also if you've managed to empty an ammunition bin, a hit to that ammunition bin does not cause ammunition to explode because there isn't anything in there for it to explode. This has been very important to me on at least 2 occasions, which has been the difference between my mech still standing up and being blown to thousands of pieces.
Remember the Prince of Wales.
Remember the Prince. It's the hood you were thinking of.
Oh, the hood.
Yeah.
Close. At
Close.
least I remembered it was a boat.
You remembered it was a boat. You remembered it was a boat. Okay. Yes. Also the Invincible, the Queen Mary, and
There's enough historical
there's enough
reference
of
for it to be accurate.
yes, indeed. Right. So now I do the same for mine. I have a basic gunnery skill of 4. I ran. It costs me an extra 2, which makes it 6. Now, how far did you move? 1,
8.
2, 3. So 8 as well. Fortunately, we moved exactly the same number, so it's another 3 for me. I also have a set of trees in the way. So that should be my 4. I ran for 2. I am also at medium range, adding another 2. So we should have the same numbers.
Yeah.
I should be on 12s as well.
We do.
Right. So I only have my medium laser to fire. So I have to be very lucky with this. Surprisingly, I am not. So first turn of movement and weapons fire done. Second, the next phase we go to is physical attack. If your mech is standing beside another mech and it's got the right facing, you can punch or kick the other mech. Or if you happen to have a giant axe or a giant sword or some other kind of weapon fitted to your mech, you can hit it with that as well. We're obviously not close enough for that to matter, but it's done in exactly the same way, only attack rolls for your physical attacks, kicks, punches and hits with things, are done based on your piloting skill, not based on your gunnery skill. And an important thing which Brett has pointed out to me is that it's based on your piloting skill roll. It's not quite the same as the weapon skill roll. So what we have tended to do in past editions, if we've gone through that whole process of how fast did you go, how fast did I go, what covers in the way, all that kind of other stuff, it's not quite the same for the physical attacks, but that is explained in the book. Next thing we do is we go to the heat phase. So we think to ourselves, right, what did we do so far? Well, you ran, which costs 2 heat. You fired your SRM6, which costs
4.
You fired your SRM4, which costs
3.
And you fired your medium laser, which costs
3.
3. Okay. On your sheet also, there is a little table called heat data, which is in the bottom right. That tells you how many heat sinks you have.
Yep.
10 single.
Yep.
Okay. So what you do is you take 10 off the amount of heat that you generated this turn.
Takes me down to 1.
Okay. So you are down to 1. 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
Because I was at 11.
You were at 11.
Running, and then the 3 weapons fires took me up to 11 heat.
You started striking 0.
Oh, should I not?
No.
So I should
you
have
would
struck
be on
12.
So you should be on 12, but that's back down to 2.
Okay.
Okay, we can probably edit that out of it.
No. It's good to make a mistake. It shows it's natural.
Fair enough. Okay, so you're on 2 heat. Now, if you have a look at the little heat, the little table next to your heat data, it tells you what happens when you get into certain levels of heat. So at 5 heat, your mech starts to slow down. It's less mobile than it was before. At 8, it becomes harder for you to hit things as the heat starts interfering with your sensors. Then there are repetitions of those at a couple of different. If your mech gets hot enough, there is a risk that it will shut down. If it is overheated, it will shut down in order to cool itself down. And if you are very reckless with your heat scale and you have ammunition-based weapons on board, if you get very hot, there is a chance that your ammunition will cook off in the mech and explode. Obviously that's a bad thing. It's the kind of thing you can take a risk with, but if it goes wrong, it's fairly terminal. And if you hit sufficiently high heat, your mech will just automatically shut down. So if you hit the thresholds where you are at risk of shutdown or at risk of ammunition cook-off, then it'll usually tell you what the risk is. So let's say shut down a void on a 4+ at 14 heat. If you're at that point, then what you have to do is you have to roll the dice and hope to roll 4 or more. Doesn't matter because we haven't hit that threshold, but that would have been a pass. You're able to hit the little red button and silence the warning, and it won't shut down.
Vent, vent, vent.
Vent, vent, vent. Okay. Having done the heat phase, we're now into the end phase. So hits to various things can cause damage. They can cause damage to your armor, they can cause damage to your weapons, damage to your internal structure and the equipment in there, and of course damage to the pilot. So that's the end phase. We're on to turn number 2. It's worth noting as well that if you really want to, you can voluntarily shut down your mech. Just to say, I'm not going to do anything, I just want to cool. Now,
you'd only do that if you were in a really safe position.
You would only do that if you're in a really safe position. And if you're in a really safe position, you probably wouldn't worry about it. You would just stand still and do nothing. Not fire anything, not move anywhere, and just let your heat sinks work for it. But there's probably a reason why you might choose to do that. Can't think of one off the top of my head. But it's a complicated game with a lot of possibilities. So, we now consider that our mechs are back to their position, so you have untorso twisted at the end. You don't need to worry about that. And we're back to the position we are. So what we do is we roll initiative again. So turn number 2, I roll 6. 11. Okay, so you win initiative. This means I must go first, and you get to see whatever it is that you like to see. So at this point, I will choose to engage walking mode rather than running mode. And as you can see from my sheet, that allows me to move up to 8. And you've got a lot of guns, and they are exactly the same range as mine. So I'm a bit concerned right now. You can walk backwards. You can't run backwards. It's not possible. So I will walk backwards. Or maybe I won't. No, I will turn around. I will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going into heavy woods is going into cover costs you additional. Light costs you 1 additional point. Heavy costs you 2 additional points. So that was 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have now run away and hidden in some woods.
Well, given the drastically bad shooting, I'm going to elect walk. My walking gives me 6. 1.
Yep.
2, 3, because I've gone into light woods.
Indeed, yes.
4, 5, 6.
Indeed. So, now we go to fire declaration. Now I have weapons in my arms. So what I could opt to do is, currently you're getting to see the back of my mech, and all of my weapons are pointing in the wrong direction. So what I can do is I can torso twist, which would bring one, probably my left arm into arc to allow me to shoot at you, or at least to try. It's going to be close. Or, because of the way that the guns are situated on my mech, I am able to just flip my arms over and point backwards with them. Now it depends on the mech. Some can do this, some can't. And it depends on how many joints you've got in your arm. So if you only have the upper one, you can turn your guns around. So rather than do a torso twist, I will flip the two guns on my arms around and try to shoot you with those. And the medium laser, which is in my center torso, is just going to sit there and do nothing. So that's my fire declaration. I will have 2 machine guns firing at you.
Well, given that you're in the woods, which is going to offer you some modifier,
Indeed.
My full range of fire last turn was foolhardy and flamboyant, but I think I'm safe enough with my heat sinks and having walked that if I do another alpha strike on you with everything,
Absolutely right.
I should be able to absorb another round of fire this way before I have to start thinking about which weapon to select.
I think you're probably correct. Whenever you make a decision to choose to fire and to choose what to fire, the best thing to do is consider already what the factors are going to be. You'll be able to work out, or at least roughly work out, what your chances are going to be of hitting. The good news is I'm now 1, 2, 3 away, so I'm in short range rather than medium range. You walk this time. Okay. So yes, you are only 3 hexes away, which brings you into short range, and you only walk this time, so you'll be suffering less of a modifier. You also have different cover between you, but you're certainly at a better chance of hitting this time than you were last time. I also have my back to you, which is where the weakest armor on these mechs is, almost always. So this is a very good opportunity for you to inflict quite a lot of damage on me.
Or miss.
Or miss. Also possible. Also possible. Okay. So, your declaration is you're going to be firing everything again. My declaration is I'm going to be firing 2 machine guns at you. Okay. So, I fire first because I lost the initiative this time. So, my machine guns, I have a basic gunnery of 4. I walked, which will add 1 to the difficulty of it. My machine guns only have a maximum range of 3, so I will be firing at maximum range. That's long range, so an additional 4. I'm also shooting backwards, which unsurprisingly makes it slightly more difficult. Another difficulty +1. I'm in the woods, but because I'm in the woods, I don't suffer the penalty. I'm just poking the guns out and shooting out. So that is my challenge this time. So I am now on 10s. One of my machine guns has missed, and the other one has missed. For anybody that's ever seen me actually play, that is my standard dice roll.
So, SRM's 4. I'm on base 4.
Base 4, yes.
I walked.
Indeed.
So that's another 4. No, not 1. So I'm on 5. You are 1, 2, 3 hexes away, which is short range for me.
So there's no modifier.
No modifier for that. But you're in heavy woods.
So there's a +2.
So that's 7.
Indeed. Now, we have to account how far I moved. We actually forgot to do that for you.
Yeah.
But you moved 4, which would have been a +1 penalty. So I needed 11s, not 10s. Good thing is, I missed.
You missed anyway.
And I moved, I was here, so I moved 1, 2, 3. So there's a +1 difficulty for you on that.
9s.
9. Okay. So let's go through that again, just in case I got it wrong.
So
Gunnery 4.
Base 4.
You walked.
+1.
Short range.
Plus nothing.
Plus nothing. I moved enough to give you +1, and we have I'm in heavy woods, which is +2. I think you added 1 twice.
I added 1 twice, so I'm actually on 8s.
8s. Okay. So SRM 6
SRM 6
on it is a hit. Okay. Now, one of the things which this game specifies is that you resolve all hits and all damage from them before you resolve the next one. So we can do the hits, but we have to do them. We have to do the damage one at a time. So if you want to go for the SRM 4,
SRM 4s needing 8s.
need 8s as well. That's miss.
Miss.
Okay.
Medium laser needing 8s.
It's also miss. Okay. So you have hit with an SRM 6. Now an SRM 6 is basically a 6-shot missile launcher, and you don't always hit with all of them. The best way to imagine it is if you've ever seen one of those anime cartoons where somebody's firing a missile launcher and you have this giant swirl of missiles that all kind of circle into each other, and there's lots of smoke and explosions, but not all of them hit. Some of them will hit the ground around you, some of them will miss, some of them will be duds, whatever. So what we come to now is what's called the cluster hits table, which I will put here. And on the cluster hits table, you need to know how many weapons were being fired. So you go to the chart for 6 shots, and you roll 2d6 to find out how many of those actually hit. High is good. 7, so it's average. So on 7, I'll move it back into place, sorry. 4 of your missiles have hit. Each one of your missiles does 2 points of damage, so we work out where those are. To do that, we find the location. The location table is here on the useful page. We need to know which way you're firing from. Now, luckily, you're firing effectively from directly behind. So we use the front rear table, and you roll 2d6 4 times to find out where those are. Each time I will have to mark off 2 of my little circles of armor. Okay, so the first one hits 5. 5 on the center torso is, sorry, on the front or rear, I beg your pardon, is right leg. So 2 points of damage to my right leg. Next. 7. 7, I'm pretty sure, is center torso. So you have hit the center torso area. Importantly, you've hit the rear center torso area. So I have to come down to the rear section. You can see I marked my 2 hits on the right leg there. Rear section, center torso, 2 dots of armor away. Next. 6 is right torso. Again, we're firing from the rear, so we have to use the rear table, and I mark off 2 points of armor on my right torso rear, and 8. And 8 will tell us that it's in fact left torso. So you have hit my right leg, my right rear torso, my left rear torso, and my left center torso. That, because I'm a very light mech and I have very little armor, is all of the armor on the back of my mech. So whilst my limbs can still take something of a hit, I cannot afford to be hit in the back again. That would be very bad for me. Right. So, once again, we've done the weapons phase. We move to the physical attacks phase. We're not close enough for physical attacks to become a thing, so we can skip that phase. And we move directly to heat. I walked. I fired machine guns, 2 of them, but machine guns generate no heat. So I have only generated 1 point of heat this turn. Now, we didn't bother with my heat last turn. I ran and I fired a medium laser, which was a grand total of 5 heat, and I have 10 heat sinks. So I was able to sink them all. I'm at 0. I am likewise still at 0. I walked generating 1 heat. My weapons generated none this turn, so I have sunk all of that. I'm still at 0 heat.
I walked.
Indeed, generating 1.
1 heat. I fired all weapons, which generates 10 points of heat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 11 points of heat.
And you will sink.
I will sink 10 of them.
So your heat scale will go up by 1.
So I go from the 2 heat I was already on to 3.
Yep.
That's heat that I have not managed to dissipate yet because I've been doing activities.
Because you've been doing activity. And you've marked off the ammunition that you fired from your SRMs as well. Fantastic. Okay, end phase. Whilst that hurt a lot and I've lost lots of armor, I probably don't want to be letting you shoot up my back too much again. It's not to destroy my mech. Armor is there to be hit. It protects the stuff that you don't want to be hit. So we move on to the initiative phase of turn number 3. I severely need to close the range. So I will indeed. I can walk because I'm fast enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I am right up in your grill, sir.
Okay. I can walk as well.
You certainly can.
And the sensible thing for me to do would be to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Indeed.
So I'm going to be shooting you in the rear.
Now, you almost are.
Oh, am I not?
You're not quite. Now, what happens here, if we lift our hands away so that we can see, if we draw a direct line from the center of your hex to the center of my hex, you'll see that it goes along this hex line. Now, whenever it goes along a hex line, and that makes a difference between rear shot and side shot, the defender gets to choose which one it is. So if you made it to here, then you would be, because it would be coming in the line. Or similarly, if instead you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now you are directly behind me in front arc. So it's completely up to you.
Would that be the more advantageous position, since you can't?
Well,
you can still turn your machine
I can
guns
still
on.
turn my machine guns on you.
I'm just thinking for the drama at home, this is maybe better, because now we can do a bit of
Now we can do
kicking.
physical as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
So basically, you now have the position. You have the position to fire all of your weapons at point blank range. You can kick me when it comes to the physical attacks if you haven't already killed me, because you are shooting me in the back. And I am only able to bring my 2 guns to bear on you by flipping my arm. I'm not able to bring my medium laser on you because I can't turn enough.
Well, let's give them a dramatic finish, because we've kept them talking for about half an hour.
I think it's time to die. So I lost the initiative. So I will be declaring that I am going to fire both of my machine guns at you
in my face.
In your face, and you are going to fire everything,
and the kitchen sink.
And the kitchen sink.
I'm going to open the window and chuck my ashtray at you.
Right. So, I am gunnery 4. I walked, which is 5. I'm firing backwards, which is 6. And then I need to know how many hexes you move through, which is 1, 2, 3. So that will be 7s for 1 additional shot. So I require 7s to hit you with my machine guns.
This is where you'll get a headshot.
Possible. Unlikely, but possible. And so we have all firing is actually simultaneous. So, or certainly it used to be. I hope it still is.
We haven't read that.
haven't read that far. I'm still using most of the original game. It's worth noting for people who played Battletech before. According to Brett, who is an absolute expert in Battletech, it is just a cleanup. There's nothing fundamental has changed. There's a few things that have been added to basic rules, which were in more advanced rules, and also there is apparently a little section of things you get wrong, which is very, very useful to know. So,
useful for people like me that get most things wrong.
useful for people who've been playing a long time and have got into the habit of doing something wrong, and they've been doing it for 20 years.
Like driving with your knees on the steering wheel.
That kind of thing, yeah. Or with your phone out in your hand.
Yeah, that's terrible. Let's not do
Definitely
that.
not allowed. Right, so 7s, was it?
7s.
So
Blam!
Have an machine gun and have not another machine gun. So my machine guns do 1 point of damage.
It could be the one that makes the difference.
2 points of damage. I beg your pardon. 2 points of damage.
So they're as good as my missiles.
Good as your missiles.
They're big bullets.
But you've got 10 missiles to shoot at you with you, and I've got 2 machine guns. Flattery
will get you nowhere.
Indeed. So this will be in your front facing. That's your actual front, but obviously the front 3 hexes count as your front facing. So location 6. And by consulting the thing, I'm able to tell you that is the right torso for 2 points of damage.
Torso. 1, 2.
There we go. Now, you're shooting of everything.
Well.
So, gunnery 4.
Gunnery 4.
You walked
4, which takes up to 5.
I moved 8.
Which takes it up to...
Which takes it up to 8. That's three more difficulty for how fast I moved. But there's no range, and you don't have any minimum range weapons, so you're not suffering any penalties for that. And that's basically it. 8s.
So, have an SRM 6.
On 8s.
Ah!
Lucky for me.
It missed. It was bounced, it would have been a hit.
It would have been a hit.
SRM 4s.
SRM 4. Also
unbelievable. Medium laser.
Medium laser. Is in.
Is in. It's not going to be enough to do the job, though.
I don't know, because I remember you're shooting me in the back and I have no armour in the back.
It's not going to make you blow up.
Probably not, but it may damage. Okay, so location. Again, we're directly rear, so we're using the front rear table. Number 4 on the front rear table.
Right.
Is right arm.
Which you don't have.
Why, I have some armour in my right arm, but I don't have 5 points of armour, I only have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that you have done 1 point of internal damage to my mech. Now,
so you've got your external armour shown here, and then when that's depleted, you go to the internal structure points here, and that's where we've managed to hit JB this time. One has gone through on that side on him.
Indeed. Now, this, because you have done some internal damage, has the potential to cause critical damage. Critical damage actually takes out things that are in those locations. So, things like my machine gun, which happens to be there, might be difficult to do.
But not as pilot.
Not my pilot. No, I want him to live.
And this is only a training scenario,
It is indeed.
First blood, we will be able to call it quits after this because blood has been drawn.
Blood has been drawn. And you're going to kick me.
Oh yeah, I'll still kick you.
Right, okay, so there is a chance that you will cause critical damage. So, critical damage is caused by rolling 8, or 10, or 12.
Watch me roll 2.
So 9 and 11 are also good, but those are the thresholds. There is 8. You have caused a critical hit to my mech. You have caused a critical hit to the right arm. Now if I show you the little table, here is our critical hit table. Right arm. You will see that I have 3 things in my right arm. So you only need to roll 1 dice because we're not worrying about which table it is. It's all in the top table. Number 3, you have destroyed my machine gun. So I hit you with a machine gun and you pointed a medium laser straight down the barrel of it and shot it off. Okay, so that is our shooting phase done. Now we come to physical attacks, because we're actually close enough to do physical attacks. Physical weapon attacks. So, causing physical attacks are done based on your piloting skill. So, you check your piloting skill, you apply the modifier for the hit, and that is basically it. And if you hit me, you do unpleasant things. It's worth noting that if you have weapons in your arms and you have fired those weapons, you cannot use those to make punch attacks, because you've obviously employed that arm already. So you're going to kick me.
Yeah.
What is your piloting skill roll?
4. Okay.
So this is where Brett tells me that we've been doing it wrong forever, is that we don't have to apply all those modifiers. So all you do is roll a dice, or roll the 2 dice, sorry. You have a -2 difficulty to this, so it's easier. So your base number of piloting is 4. It is -2 to that, so your base number is 2. Which unsurprisingly is impossible to fail on the 2d6 roll. You got 7, you have successfully kicked me. Now, so you have a damage point you will cause 1 point of damage for every 5 tons of weight. How much does your mech weigh? Probably
my tonnage is 25.
25. Okay, so you do 5 points of damage with this kick. And all we need to know is where did you kick me? Either left leg or right leg. Kicks only hit things on the same level as them. So I think it's only one dice, sorry about that.
Oh.
I'll just double check. Kick location table, yes. So we're going directly from the front or rear. So one dice. Number one, you've kicked me in the left leg. My left leg was currently undamaged. I'm glad you didn't kick me in the right leg, because that would have been another critical chance with my light leg. However, because I've been kicked, that's obviously very upsetting and very disturbing, and I have to take a piloting skill roll to make sure that I am able to still remain upright, requiring a base piloting skill of 4 or better, and I successfully stay upright. At this point, I'm going to say you effectively have me where you want me, and if I get the chance, I will run away.
Well, we're treating this as a training match, so I think we're both on the same side. Mm-hmm. I have bloodied your nose.
Indeed.
And came out of it reasonably unscathed myself, with only damage to the right arm and a little scrape on my right torso.
Yes, whereas I have got significantly more damage. Both of my arms are out of armour. I've taken damage to both legs, centre torso, and there's no armour on the back of my mech. I have taken 1 point of damage, 1 point of internal damage as well. So yes, I'm definitely come off worse in this. Bloody nose indeed.
I'll probably get told off by the instructor for taking it too hard and too seriously.
Possibly. But
hopefully that has given you, thanks to JB, a fairly clear idea of the simple run of things, and a little bit of a starting point for you at least when it comes to Battletech. There's plenty more info on Catalyst Game Lab's site as well, and plenty of good groups out there too.